Hey guys, Sam here. Today we're going to be talking about the Albanian SKS. We're going to include a little bit of history, factoids, and at the end we'll have disassembly slash reassembly. So, let's get into it. Our story begins in Albania, which at one point in time had good relations with Russia while Stalin was in power. However, after he died, relations began to suffer, and Albania strengthened its ties with China, and the two began trading heavily, which eventually led to Albania receiving many small arms, including the SKS, and a license to produce their own. The Albanian Type 56-1 SKS was produced from 1967 to 1978 at Gramsh Arsenal in Albania. Out of 17,000 made, roughly 11,000 were destroyed, leaving some 6,000 left in existence. Regarding the ones that were destroyed, some speculate that NATO and/or the US government encouraged Albania to destroy over 130,000 small arms, their SKSs included. Regarding the Albanian SKS, there are a few differences between it and the SKSs from all the other countries. The Albanian has a longer stock and handguard. The stock is approximately 2 inches longer than any other SKS stock, and the handguard completely covers the gas tube. The rear sling swivel is on the left side of the buttstock compared to other SKSs where it is on the bottom of the buttstock. Note that some early Chinese SKSs also had the rear sling swivel on the left side. The charging handle on the bolt carrier is AK style, so to speak, compared to other SKSs. There are 3 vent holes in the gas tube on the Albanian SKS compared to 1 vent hole in other SKSs. The magazine has a different profile than others, more curved at the hinge, and rounded all over. Another difference is in the Albanian's butt plate there are 2 trapdoors, as opposed to the other country's 1. The Albanian cruciform bayonet is 11 inches, while the Chinese cruciform bayonet is 11 7/8 inches. Note that we are just talking about the cruciform, not the length of the overall whole bayonet together. Also, the blood grooves on the Albanian bayonet are slightly different. Okay, so now we are going to begin the disassembly of the SKS. Once again, this is an Albanian SKS. However, the disassembly process is still the same. So, first things first, in the way I do it, you're going to want to make sure that it's on safe, and of course that there's nothing in the weapon. I'll rack the bolt back so that it pushes the hammer back, and next you're going to push this lever up right here. It will lift it up so that you are able to take the receiver cover off, like so. Next, recoil spring comes out, and remember, the snake goes in the hole. To clarify, the weird twisty end goes inside the bolt carrier. Next, here comes the bolt and the bolt carrier itself. Here's the bolt carrier and the bolt. Next in the process, we are going to take the gas tube and piston and operating rod out. So, on the right side of the rear sight, right here, there's another little lever or switch, if you will, and it's in a detent. So what you will do is you can use the back of a pocket knife or anything, a wooden dowel, whatever, non-marring type tool, and you're gonna flip it up, okay? There we go. Just to the first detent, you know, where it once you get that once it stops on you again, leave it there. And next you can just take your gas tube out. Okay. Inside the gas tube, pop out your piston there. Here's the piston and the gas tube. Next, inside of the rear sight assembly, there is it's another little piston looking thing. It's the operating rod, and there's a spring in there as well. And to get that out, you're going to want to hold your finger or your hand or whatever in front of where it is, because it's under spring tension. And next you're going to lift the switch or lever up again until you just feel it pop out, and then there you go. Here's this operating rod spring and the operating rod. So at this step right here, this is all you're going to need to do for just like a take out for a a routine whatever cleaning maintenance. However, we're going to take it a step further just for the sake of getting to know the SKS a little more intimately, so to speak. So place the rifle upside down there and open up the magazine. Well, now we have the trigger group right here. At the back of the trigger group, there is going to be a little metal piece with a little indent inside of it. You're going to push down on that with a, you can use a punch, Phillips head screwdriver. You can even use the pointed end of the receiver cover. So let's do that real quick. There we go. And it should just pop out there easily. Okay, so there we have our trigger group. Set that down. And the magazine may or may not come out easily. I've had a couple where you really have to just get a good clamp on it and take it out, but in this case it's really easy. So now our magazine is out. Next, you are able to actually take the receiver out of the stock, and to do that you want the bayonet extended halfway so that you can get your cleaning rod out first of all. So you take your cleaning rod out, or you can do that when you begin, it doesn't matter. Anyway, now that we have the bayonet out, we'll just put it up so it's not dangling in the way. Some receivers, again, they come off easily. Some of them you gotta give a push. This one's easy, but if you have trouble, right here on the piece of metal that was holding the trigger group in, if you just push down on that with your thumb, you should, that can help get it started. And then there you go, and then the ferrule will come off at the very end where it attaches to the lip on the stock, and there you go. Now you've taken apart your SKS. Of course, you can take things apart a little more, like the bolt, the recoil spring, and the trigger group, but we won't go over that in this video. And now we will go over the reassembly. So obviously you're just gonna pretty much do the same exact thing. Make sure you get the lip, the ferrule right there on the lip, and then you can push down in the back. There you go. Next, what I do in this process is undo the bayonet, let it float right there, slide her back in, close the bayonet, flip her back upside down, and then you're going to put the magazine back in. And right here, it looks like a little mouth if you do this with it. It's going to connect to this little lug or piece of metal right there, or whatever, just sticking out, if you will. And kind of like it's biting it. And then the magazine will go right in. And again, with some you might have to give it a lot of pressure. So now that the magazine's in, leave it open. Get your trigger group. Now on your trigger group, there are these two point pieces of metal sticking out on either side of the front of it next to the magazine release. What you're going to do is, you're not going to put it in at an angle like this. You're going to kind of put it in like almost straight down, and watch the two pieces of metal sticking out either side go down, and then they slide underneath that part of the magazine right there. Or not the magazine, but the part right, those two sticks of metal next to the magazine. So it just slides under there. And then next, what you're going to do is give it a really good smack right there, so that it gets back into the receiver. It's attached back to the receiver inside the stock and everything. So there you go. Back in there. You can close your magazine if you want, whatever. Next, flip her over, and we will put the gas tube and friends back on. So here we are with our operating rod and operating rod spring. So you're gonna make sure that this lever switch is 90 degrees so that you can get it back in. So you're gonna stick her in there. There we go. Okay. There we go. I was able to do it with my finger. If you need to, you can push the piston. You can use the piston to push the operating rod in just enough so that once it's in, you set the lever back down so it's holding the operating rod back in there, okay? So now with it set to the first detent, when you took the actual gas tube out, you can get your piston, set it back inside your gas tube. Come on. There we go. And with that done, put the gas tube back on just like so. Very simple indeed. Push it down and put that detent back down there. Okay. Next is the last part, you know, where we started out. So first things first, put your bolt in. Next, you can put your bolt carrier in, and I like to use this little slanted point right here, just to drag it up where it fits into the bolt carrier right there, just to make sure it's in. And then all you do is slide forward on the rails, and you open up your magazine, or you can just push the follower down and slide it in the battery there. Remember, snake goes in the hole with the recoil spring. And next, you got your dust cover or receiver cover. Slide that on. You want to make sure again that this lever to actually take the receiver cover off is out, so you can get it pushed forward. A little bit of tension there, and here, I'll do it on the other side. Push forward because of that tension, and then you can push your little lever back in, slide it down, and you're good to go, you know. So there you have it. That is taking apart the SKS assembly and disassembly. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you thought it was informative, well made. I hope it was detailed, and that the visual quality was up to your likings. What I wanted to ask you is, if any of you out there thought that this video was well made and you liked it enough, I'm asking that if you could maybe donate towards a cause that I have, which is getting a high-speed camera. Now, a lot of them, they're extremely expensive, like, you know, what someone makes in a whole year. But I found one that isn't like that. It's like, you know, basically like a prosumer price point. And I think that it's something within the range of what I can, you know, actually get and do something with. So, if you thought it was a good video and you think you might be willing to donate to that cause, I'd be really grateful. We could use it for all sorts of cool things, you know, firearms for one, and everything else that would look cool in slow motion, you know, hitting meal, exploding fruit, exploding vegetables, exploding dairy, exploding confections.
I just...
That's a joke.
Okay, I just say...
Seeing what different items look like when they're impacted by a bullet. Nature, wildlife, you know, bees, ants. What would happen if you threw a cup of water on an anthill and there's like a big tsunami to them. Imagine that in just, you know, super slow, high-speed camera footage. Explosions, firecrackers, blowing up little Lego settlements, you know, whatever. There's a lot of cool stuff that can be done, and I'd appreciate your help. Once again, if you guys enjoyed this, liked it, thought it was decent in any sort of way, consider that. Thanks.